Welcome to Senior Strategies, Tools for the Caregiver with Amy Decker and Shane Silver. Join us on each show where you're going to enjoy a lively conversation that's going to connect you to the tools and resources that you'll need to coordinate care for the seniors in your life. We are so happy that you joined us. Hi, welcome to Senior Strategies. I'm Amy Decker, Director of Client Services with Senior Helpers.
And I am Shane Silver, a Seniors Real Estate Specialist, and I am a caregiver.
And we are finding that this time of year, although most people are very happy with what we're doing with holidays and vacations and families getting together.
It can be a very happy time for a lot of people, but unfortunately,
our seniors really seem to have a tough time. Some seniors do. And we find that, in fact, there were statistics that 2 million of the 34 million aged Americans suffer from depression this time of year. And sadly, it mentioned only 3% will get treatment for it.
Yeah.
So we did a little bit of investigative work on that just to figure out what to do to help our seniors to not feel so sad, or why are they feeling sad?
So a lot of why they're feeling sad, I think, is, when we're growing up, and especially those of you who are parents out there, you create all of these traditions around the holiday time, whether it's traveling or just going to see the Christmas lights or whatever your family traditions are. Sometimes when people age, whether it's for physical reasons or other reasons, they can't carry on those traditions. So it makes them sad.
Right.
And down here in South Florida, we're a very transient state. We have a lot of seniors here whose children and grandchildren are not local, so they might be lonely. This time of year is a really hard time for people with suffering from loneliness.
And those traditions and those memories are of mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, siblings, aunts, uncles, that by the time they reach the senior years, all those people are gone.
Right. And a lot of times they can't have those conversations and they can't see those people.
And maybe financially, they can't even afford to maybe fly up north to go see their kids So some of the symptoms that they said that you can watch for, because there's lots of things that they may start doing, and you may be living in another state, might not even understand what's going on because you're just talking to them on the phone. But some of the things that they talked about is they don't want to take a bath. They don't want to shower anymore.
Yep.
They don't want to brush their teeth. They don't want to interact with anybody. They don't want to go anywhere.
And we see those signs of depression in probably anyone. They don't necessarily have to be a senior, but we see it more prominent in our seniors this time of year.
Right. It mentioned too that they'll have sleeping issues. So they're either going to want to sleep all day or they don't sleep at all. They're not sleeping at all. They become more manic. And so some of the things, just the depression part of it, they don't want to be part of social activities. They'd rather just stay in the house, not do anything that kind of takes any effort at all. So if we can recognize those things that are going on in their life, again, if you are the family that's living out of state, it would be, this is when you start asking questions then over the phone.
Correct.
This is when you start picking up on that something's not right. And so they even gave us a list of things that you could do if you lived locally.
Right. So if you are someone who's local and you see some of these signs in any family members, whether it's the loneliness or the depression, obviously spending quality time with them, right? This time of year, that quality time we have with our loved ones becomes so much more important.
Yes. Encourage them to be part of the celebration with you, whether it's, if they are local, to come on over. You want to help me make mashed potatoes, make some cookies.
Anything you can do to give them a purpose. And we talk about that all the time. That's one of the things that they miss, is having a purpose. So even, getting them involved in the preparations for the celebration.
And then if you are out of state, then it's being a good listener and listening for those cues. So you can ask questions, but listen to what they have to say, because they may be saying something that they don't even realize that they're saying.
Right.
And very often the seniors that we have right now, for them to reach out for help or to complain that they're depressed would be a sign of weakness. And that's why so many of them don't get the help that they need, because they don't want to look weak.
If you are not local to your senior or your loved one, it's listening for things like, oh, what are you doing? Did you go to dinner? Did you go see your friends? What have you done the last few days? And if you notice that they're staying at home and they're really doing activities by themselves or doing nothing, or, oh, I slept late today, those are usually often signs.
And one of the things they listed is to respect their wishes. So they said, while encouragement is important, also respect if they prefer solitude. That some seniors may find comfort in a quieter home, like to be in, invite them on over and all the kids and grandkids and neighbors are all over and everyone's romping and screaming, and that might be very overwhelming for them.
Right. Another thing that sometimes is iffy is, looking through old photo albums and talking about old memories.
Right.
For some seniors, it really brightens their day and they really love it. And for some, especially if they have memory issues, it's a little harder.
My mom would not look at photo albums. It was very depressing. She put them all away, and I brought them to my house.
Because
it was too hard.
They don't always want to admit that they don't recognize the people in the photos.
Right.
That they don't recognize who they are, or they don't remember who they are. And the last thing we want to do to someone with cognitive impairment is say, hey, remember this. Or, hey, remember this.
Right.
Because most of the time they're not going to.
And if they do remember who they are, in most cases they're sad because that person's no longer around.
Right.
So it's not a good thing. You look at a picture of somebody that's passed, it's good to see him, but it does kind of cut you to the heart a little bit. Sharing positive memories. So I do find that even now when I go into memory care and I find somebody that's in memory care and they just want to dwell on, my this and my that, I'll immediately start bringing up something positive. Oh, remember when you went to Colorado? Or remember when your daughter had you over and she made your favorite sandwich? And if you can kind of change the pattern and think of something more positive to share or a memory.
That does help. That does help. And really be patient and understanding. You might not know right off the bat what they're feeling. So really just be patient and understanding with them, but try to be there if you are local and you can spend that extra time with them this time of year.
And watch that they are eating nutritional foods, drinking water, and keep an eye on their medication, because that's another thing that will happen too. They get depressed, they get out of their routine, they may stop taking their medication, or they get in and mess it up and now they're taking the wrong, which can also cause depression and personality changes.
They don't remember if they've taken it, so they take it twice. Yes.
So for us, it may be a good time of year because we're in that age where we can still enjoy our family and take vacations and go places. But for some that are in, just the other day, Shane and I, we had a wonderful little luncheon.
Nice little getaway.
It was so much fun. And I was driving down Atlantic to get to our destination and drove by one of our assisted living buildings. And it kind of caught my heart, like, oh, all those little people that are in memory care. And I got the window open and I'm singing a song and they're just sitting. And so it is. I get it. If you're, that's what happens. And so if you do have family members that are in memory care, if you do have family members that are still living at home that aren't even dealing with cognitive issues, call them. Keep in touch with them. Ask them questions.
And each person is different. Each person is different. So you never know what they're feeling this time of year. So being a good listener really is important. And picking up on the cues and the things they're not saying is just as important as picking up on what they are saying.
Yeah. And one of the activities that I like to do is I will ask family members to mail me good memories of something that's going to make them happy, photos, as many as they can give me. And then I put a big poster board together and we glue those on the board and then we put the person's name underneath it. So it not only gives them good memories, they can look at that all day long every day if they're feeling sad. And then it's a memory jogger of who that person is. Oh, and that was her dog and the dog's name was, so they have fun making it. It's an activity. It's given them a purpose. And now it's something that they can keep in their room and then show their friends. These are my kids and this is where I used to live. But I always say, make sure you send pictures that are going to give them a good
happy memory. Happy memory.
To jog something good, right?
Yeah. Well, it is holiday time, but we have some great guests with us today. So today joining us, we have Candy Cohn, the owner of Oasis Senior Advisors. But today she's going to be talking to us about something a little different. She's going to be talking to us about how to make the most of your visits with a loved one with dementia, which is so apropos if you are here visiting a loved one this time of year with dementia. So we're going to talk to her today.
And so come back after this commercial and we will talk to Candy then.
About 60 million baby boomers refuse to leave a financial burden on their loved ones, but 70% of them have unsuitable life insurance or are unaware that it may expire. With final expenses significantly rising, don't leave your family unprotected. If you have an old policy or purchased guaranteed coverage, don't take any risks. Gain peace of mind with a policy review. Mention Senior Strategies and it's free. Call Pivotal Life today at 561-412-5500. That's 561-412-5500. Because family and legacy are worth protecting.
Welcome to Allegro Boynton Beach, the epitome of luxury senior living. Discover a lifestyle free from maintenance worries, or experience gentle support tailored to your daily needs. Choose from our exclusive offerings of independent living, assisted living, and memory care, each designed to provide a personalized experience of utmost comfort and care. Indulge in a maintenance-free retirement or embrace the support you deserve. Surrounded by the finest amenities and compassionate staff. At Allegro Boynton Beach, luxury meets a vibrant community where every moment is filled with joy, purpose, and peace of mind. Experience luxury senior living at its finest. Contact us today to schedule your visit and discover the unmatched lifestyle awaiting you at Allegro Boynton Beach.
You love your mom and dad, and they've always been there for you, always taken care of you. But now they could use a hand, and sometimes more help than you can provide. Thankfully, they're Senior Helpers, experts in Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's care. We can help you transition from a hospital stay to home, or just help your loved one with assistance with their everyday needs. Visit seniorhelpers.com to learn more. Discover why Senior Helpers is senior care, only better.
Are you considering selling your home? Are you considering downsizing? Are you considering a transition to an independent or assisted living community? Are you considering moving to be closer to your family? Do you need a home more conducive to aging in place? If so, you want to talk to Shane Silver, co-host of Senior Strategies and Senior Real Estate Specialist. Shane and her real estate team are extremely knowledgeable and experienced when it comes to helping seniors and their families make life's important transitions. Shane will guide you every step of the way, making the transition as stress-free as possible. To schedule a no-obligation consultation, call 561-735-3030.
Welcome back to Senior Strategies with Amy and Shane. Coming up next are more tools and resources you will need to make your journey of caregiving a little easier. For more information or to be a guest on the show, please contact us at 561-800-6654. And now, on with the show.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. We are going to be talking to Candy Cohn. Welcome, owner of Oasis Senior Advisors. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Candy, I'm going to have you introduce yourself to our listeners.
Okay, thanks so much for having me. I love the show. I've been listening to it.
Thank you, Candy. You're our best cheerleader. Thank you.
No, it's so nice because we have a great community of people that work with seniors, and we all have met each other through networking, and we can be a resource for each other. So the fact that you bring us together in this way is just so wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I own Oasis Senior Advisors. My company is a franchise, so I'm part of a national company. I own the South Florida territory. I cover Broward and Palm Beach County, and we provide a free service helping people find senior living communities. And that includes independent living, assisted living, and memory care. And I tell people we're kind of like a cross between a social worker and a realtor. So I'm not either. I am a certified senior advisor. That is my certification. But you know, there's a lot of social work similarities. We meet with the clients in person, and we're meeting with the adult children and the senior at the same time. Sometimes just the adult children. I get, probably like 60% of my calls are from the adult children saying, Mom doesn't know I'm doing this, but I think it's time to start looking. So whatever, combination of people I meet with, and it could be in the home, it could be in a rehab, could be at the hospital. And I find out what's going on, what's prompted this phone call. Have they been falling a lot? Is Mom lonely? Maybe her spouse just died. That's a real big reason to move rather than stay home with a caregiver, because the senior's lonely. They need to be part of a community. So then we schedule tours and one of my associates or I go with them on the tour, and we're the advocate throughout the whole process. So
I love that. I absolutely love that. It makes it so much easier because we have so many independent and assisted and memory care communities here in South Florida that it's so important to match the person with the right community for them.
And I think you're perfect for it, Candy, because tell us a little bit about your story. We're seeing this beautiful picture behind you. So tell us about who that is and how you got to this point.
So this is my beautiful mom, Lillian Cohn, and she passed away just a little over a year ago. She was 99.
Wow.
And I got started in this business 12 years ago because I needed to move my parents to assisted living. And I was referred to a senior placement advisor to help us. And he was amazing. And I couldn't believe, I didn't know that profession existed. Luckily, someone told me about it. And he helped us within 5 weeks. We met with him, we visited communities, we applied for VA benefits, long-term care Medicaid, packed them up, all within 5 weeks.
Wow.
I mean, I think it would have taken me 5 weeks just to figure out where to start. So after I was doing some freelance marketing, mostly in the healthcare arena, and at the end of it all, I asked him if he needed help with his marketing. And he said, I'm actually looking to train someone to do placement with me. Would you be interested? And I said, yes, I would love to do this. And you know, after about like a month or so, I felt like I had really found my life's calling.
That's wonderful. That's so wonderful.
So tell us how your mom impacted you.
Yeah, so we moved my parents, and my brothers are up north, so you know, I was the one here, but they came down and helped. Originally, we moved them to a traditional assisted living. My dad needed assistance, my mother did not, but they could live together, and he got the care he needed. A couple years later, he passed away, and she stayed there, but then she started to develop dementia, and eventually she fractured a vertebrae. Her hearing was going. So it was becoming overwhelming to live in this big place. And being in the industry at that point, I knew of these wonderful residential care home assisted living communities. So it's a house, it's a group home that has an assisted living license, and they provide a lot of care. So it's a great way to keep someone out of a skilled nursing facility. And it's great. It was great for my mom because she couldn't socialize anymore. She just needed loving care, and that's what she received there. So for me, I went to visit her every week, and I wanted to I was thinking these visits are just okay. I need to make it more meaningful. So I came up with a whole routine that worked so well, and I just want to share it with people. You know, the last few years of my mother's life with the dementia, she reverted back to her first language, which was Yiddish, and she wanted to speak Yiddish.
And that's very common for people with different forms of dementia, that they revert back to what they learned all those years ago. They have no current memory, you know, no short-term memory, but what they do have is those long-term memories.
And that's comforting to them.
Right.
It was comforting to your mom to speak Yiddish.
Right. So.
But did you know Yiddish?
Not too much.
See?
But I learned. So I went to see her every week, and I did a Zoom call. And this was during COVID,
Oh,
I have to
wow.
add.
Right.
So I'm wearing a mask, and we're sitting outside. And I mean, for 10 months, I couldn't visit her at all. But then when I could, I bought a speaker, an external speaker, and I was doing a Zoom call with my brothers, and she could hold that. She could hardly hear, but she could hold the speaker up to her ear, and she was able to hear. And we'd be talking, and all of a sudden she'd start talking in Yiddish, and we'd be like, Mom, we don't know Yiddish. So we made it a point to learn. So we started downloading words from the internet, and we let her teach us. We have some books. Now, this is Yiddish with Dick and Jane. I had bought this for my mother to teach my daughter Yiddish when she was little.
Oh, that is funny.
And I found
I didn't
it.
even know they made such
That-
with Dick and Jane and Spot.
And it's hysterical.
I need to read that.
So I used to read this to her. And
Wow.
then this was her book, Talk Dirty Yiddish.
Oh.
So I pulled this out when I was packing her up, and we kept it. So I brought these, and
Cute.
we
That's
would
so funny.
read some things in Yiddish, and then one day she started singing this Yiddish song, and it was so beautiful, and I'd never heard it before, and I just sounded it out and looked it up on YouTube. And it's called Shein wie de Lavuna, and it means as beautiful as the moon.
Oh.
And it's a love song.
Oh.
And I mean, I never heard her sing it when I was little or anything,
Yeah.
but I found it. So I found several different versions of it, and I played 2 of them for her by this singer, Lisa Fishman. And I got into the routine of keeping it really simple. There were 2 versions I liked. My mother liked one of them. I only played that one for her. and I printed the words, and we would read the words together.
Aw.
And she
How
would sing it,
sweet.
and I have videos of her singing it.
Oh.
And the words are just magnificent. And I ended up actually reading those words at her eulogy.
Oh.
You know, it's as beautiful as the moon, you've been brought to me, and your hair, and your, and it's, you know, in Yiddish, your hentele, your hands, and your teeth are like pearls, perlala. And oh my God, it was just so beautiful.
But that did nothing but bring up beautiful memories for her. I'm
Yeah.
sure every time you sang that to her, it gave her something just to feel so good, if even for that just moment.
Yep.
Oh, it was wonderful.
Aw.
The look on her face on these videos
Yes.
when she's singing it, and she then started remembering when she learned it.
Oh,
and
wow.
she started sharing stories.
Wow.
And then, you know, I said to her, I even wrote a note, and I took a picture of it, and I said, Mom, I'll always remember you by this beautiful song about the heavens that you taught me.
Sweet.
And I never had a song with her before. You know, my dad and I had a song, but my mom and I didn't.
Right.
So
Now you do.
Yeah,
Now
and
you
it all
do.
came out of her memories and singing the song.
And what was the name of it again?
Shane V. de la Vuna.
Oh, see, Shane, you're going to have to
Shane,
look that
right,
one up.
Yeah.
So just as a quick side point, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, Candy, and they wanted to talk more to you about finding placement for their family, what number would you want them to call?
954-540-2595.
Perfect. And it's also at the end of the screen so they can see it on there too. And then just tell us about the pillow.
So my mother was on hospice the last 2 years of her life, and when she passed, before she passed, they had told me that save some of her clothing, and they had real specifications of what it had to be made of and all that, and that they could make pillows and bears out
Aw,
of it. So
how
this is a pillow.
sweet.
And it smells like my mom.
Oh,
and I keep
that's
it,
sweet.
And it is. It's just.
gonna cry.
It's,
I know. And you know, your mom was so fortunate to have you. She was fortunate to have your family. She was fortunate to have people rallying around her that could help her make decisions and make her feel comfortable.
And that you actually took the time to learn Yiddish,
Right.
and learn the song,
Find
and
the
research the song,
right.
and really make those visits meaningful.
Right. And so it's really sad because there's a lot of people out there in the world that don't have that.
right.
So then what's their option? And so that's what we're going to talk about. Anthony Palmieri here coming up soon. Palmieri. And he works with guardianship. So very often if families don't make decisions or get a power of attorney or those types of things, then you have to get somebody in place. And so Anthony will be able to tell us more about that. And I'm sure you've probably dealt with that yourself too, Candy. And you
Oh,
too, Shane.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I deal with that a lot.
With
We work
clients, I have. But there's another little part to the story. Do I have time to tell it?
Uh-huh.
now?
Yes.
Okay. So about 8 months after my mother passed, I decided I wanted to reach out to the singer, Lisa Fishman.
Oh.
And she had a website. And I thought, I'm going to go on there and email her. And I did. And I said, you don't know me, but you have brought such joy to my mother and me and my brothers.
Oh, that's so
For the
sweet.
last couple years of my mother's life. I wrote the whole story. I told her what we did. And I sent it, and I didn't hear from her. And then like 2 weeks later, I decided to send it again. And that day, she called me.
Oh my
Wow.
She's in California. And so
goodness. You probably
now-
made her day.
Yes. And she said, you don't know how meaningful this
Oh.
is to me. She said, I kind of was not sure if I should take a different direction with my career. And just knowing that I touched your family in this way, she was so touched. And
That's
so
so
now
sweet.
we're friendly. I'm trying to bring her here. I'd love to have her do a Yiddish
Yes.
show. And she has sang with klezmer bands. And in fact, the version of Shane V. de la Vuna that my mother liked was with a klezmer band.
Wow.
So it's just so, and that's another legacy that, you know, so now Lisa and I become friendly, and this, you know, just one thing
right.
leads to
Leads to
another.
another.
We're all connected. It's
We're all
just-
connected, and I think that's even like we've talked about too with our show. Whoever we have on, whatever guests we have on, people that we've met, somehow we all stay connected because our compassion and our hearts and our empathy goes out to everybody keeping.
You have to be a special kind
Yeah.
of person to deal with seniors.
right.
Absolutely.
And they can't teach you that. You can't learn compassion. You can't learn empathy. It's something that you're born with. And so, you know, the group of us that are together that know this, that's
Yeah.
why we stick together.
Yeah.
And and work with each other to get this all working.
Yeah. But I also want to add that it was great that my mother was in an assisted
Yes.
living. If she was in my house and I was caring for her, I wouldn't have time to do beautiful things like this. I'd be exhausted.
Right.
We talk about that a lot, that a lot of times, you know, people think that they want to keep their loved ones home, right? We talk about a couple of clients that we've had on the show that really thought they were doing the best thing for their loved one by keeping them home, but came to realize they're sitting home, they're alone, they're not socializing, that there are professionals who do this for a living and specialize in this, and there are people that really can care for your loved ones in a way that we can't.
And if your
Or
mom
I
were
can't.
home with you, you'd be getting burned out and then not even want to have those special moments. 'Cause
Right.
your special moments would be getting the heck out of the house and finding something to do versus learning a song and
Right.
learning Yiddish and finding cute books.
We always talk about support groups, and I attended a support group for caregivers with Alzheimer's for many, 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 many years with Tino from Comfort Care. And one of the things he teaches is that as our loved ones age, especially with dementia, it gets more difficult. And sometimes to love them this much, you have to start spending less time with them.
Right.
And that might mean, you know, letting someone else care for them day to day so that you can have those meaningful, wonderful visits.
Right.
And not get the frustrated that our caregivers get, the frustrated, the loneliness.
Right.
And the
To set boundaries.
exhaustion.
You have to set
right. You have
boundaries.
to set some
Right.
boundaries sometimes.
Right. And then what you brought up about the photos was great.
Yeah.
So my brother actually made a poster like you were describing, because my mother couldn't have done that. But he had all the kids and their names on this big poster board.
Okay, that's on my to-do list for my mom. That's what I got to do.
It's a great
next.
thing. It's a
That's what I
great
gotta
thing.
do next.
But I found it was important to keep the photos down to a minimum.
Right.
When I visited her and I showed her like 30 photos,
It's overwhelming.
at some point
Too
she
much.
started to cry because it was overwhelming.
Right.
But when I kept it to like 6 and I would show her the same 6 every week,
Aw.
that worked. So you have to find what works.
Right,
Yep.
right.
And
And
that-
you're right. Too many would be overwhelming.
Yep.
Right. And that, it just made it beautiful.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. We are going to be very shortly, we're going to be, Anthony's going to be joining us in just a minute. But while we get set up for Anthony, we are going to remind our listeners and our viewers that we do have coming up the third Thursday, which happens to be next Thursday. We have our in-person support group at Allegro Senior Living in Boynton Beach.
And it is for caregivers, whether they are caring for the loved one at home, or maybe they even have a loved one that's in an assisted living or independent living or in memory care, that are just burned out and looking for somebody to talk to, looking to be heard. And we find that the group, we really got a great core group that
We've got
show
a
up.
great group of people.
They're so good, and they help each other. They give each other pointers, and
Pointers, tips. We try to be as positive as we can.
Yes.
We know, again, we say this all the time for caregivers, it could be stressful, it could be exhausting, it could be lonely, right? We want to show you that you're not alone and there are resources
Right.
out there for you and other people going through what you're going through.
And we find after the support groups are over, we love it because then we see people walking arm in arm out the door to go sit to make a
They've
plan
made
to-
friends. They get
Yes.
together once a week and have lunch or
To
coffee.
go have coffee.
The men get together
Yes.
and play cards.
Right. So
Yeah.
it was a really great group. If you know of anybody or are interested, we also, through Senior Helpers, offer respite. So if you have to bring your loved one with you, feel free to do that because you can enjoy our company and then your loved one can go in the theater and watch a movie and be with people over there.
So you can reach out to us through Instagram, Facebook. Our email is seniorstrategies.pb@gmail.com, and you can reach out to us and we can give you all the information.
Yep.
But we have our next guest ready to go.
We have our next guest. So Anthony Palmieri is the Deputy Inspector General of Palm Beach County Clerk of Courts.
You got it.
Did I get it?
You got it.
Okay.
Say that
got it.
10 times fast.
And he's wonderful. He has a smile on his face all the time. He's full of knowledge. And this man does nothing but really investigate the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to guardianship. So although Candy's family and her mother had a wonderful situation, and I'm sure Anthony has good stories too, Anthony focuses more on what's happening with guardianship and making sure that those things are handled correctly. So tell us more.
About you, Anthony.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for having me. And I can't tell you how much I appreciated your opening comments about communication skills. And the first thing that caregivers and families can take away from what was said as being a good listener. I think there's definitely an opportunity there for everyone to be a good listener. And Candy's story definitely brought a tear to my eye as well. I think if we had more Candies and more families like that, my job would be
Fishing.
Yeah, absolutely. I would be bored. I would be bored. Yeah, so I was hired by the clerk of the circuit court and comptroller, the elected Joseph Abruzzo. I've been in that office since the beginning of 2011. Interestingly enough, when the baby boomers started turning 65 years of age, I was hired to develop a program to investigate court-appointed guardianship cases in the 15th Circuit, which is Palm Beach County. So since that time, I've literally investigated and audited thousands and thousands and thousands of guardianship cases. And now I'm the chief guardianship investigator for the state of Florida. So regardless on where the guardian is, regardless on where the person being served by guardianship lives, our office gets involved just because of the expertise that we've developed right here in Palm Beach County.
So pedal backwards just a little bit. Let's start with the very beginning of what the whole process is with guardianship.
And what exactly is a guardian and what is their job?
So
And why do you need one?
Yeah, absolutely.
So many questions.
That's a lot of questions.
A lot of questions.
And it is an area that is extremely complex, and I've been doing it for, since 2011. I still learn something new pretty much every day. I mean, there are nuances, but guardianship is a legal tool in which the court steps in and adjudicates, makes the decision that someone is incapacitated and unable to make decisions for themselves. And further, the court will appoint a guardian to make those decisions for the person. In Palm Beach County, I mean, it's no secret that we have a large aging population. The vast majority of the guardianship cases in Palm Beach County involve an elder person experiencing cognitive decline. But we also have people, younger people with traumatic brain injuries, other organic brain,
Like Britney Spears.
Britney Spears would be in a category of either mental health or even substance abuse.
Yeah, so it's not always somebody that's
Not always
older
a
with
senior.
dementia, but it, like you
Right.
said, it could be somebody younger.
Absolutely. So, and those are the cases that are extremely complex.
I bet.
Because it's the right and wrong and the black and white get all kind of blurred. But the vast majority of cases that I work on or I see, guardians are doing really honorable work, ethical work, hard work, complex work. But I also have a responsibility to rid the system of predators that are using the system and really, smearing the reputation and besmirching the integrity of the guardianship system. So,
And that could even be family members.
the vast majority of cases in Palm Beach and throughout the state of Florida involving a family person as the guardian. And so it makes sense that the vast majority of the problems that we see involve a family member. Not everyone has the motivations like Candy and her family. Some people have used guardianship to control their loved ones and to control, more importantly to them, their their finances. So they use guardianship as a way to do that. I coined a term called silver collar crimes. Everybody's heard of white collar crimes, blue collar crimes. Well, silver collar crimes are similar, and it's when you use the court system or a legal tool to perpetrate some type of fraud, exploitation over someone that's experiencing cognitive decline. So if I was able to coin the phrase, you know what's happening quite a bit in Palm Beach. But the other thing that surprised me, and just hearing your conversation, what has surprised me most about my job is the amount of isolation and loneliness in Palm Beach and throughout Florida. You know, and I come from a big Italian family, and we're in everybody's business, and we go over everybody's house on Sunday for some spaghetti and meatballs, but that's not what's happening throughout the state. There's a tremendous amount of isolation and loneliness, and filling in those gaps are persons not always with the right intentions. Whether it be a neighbor or someone else. And
do you think that here in Florida, because we're a transient state and a lot of our seniors don't have family, do you think you see that more compared to some other states, like the loneliness and the isolation? Or do you think that's across the board?
Absolutely. Since right after World War II, Florida's been the retirement capital of the world, I dare to say. So we've been experiencing those aging issues. It's not unusual to have extended family, adult sons, daughters up in the Northeast or Midwest, and then a couple move down, retire, and move to Florida, and then life happens, and the aging process sets in, and they experience cognitive declines, and so we see quite a bit of that.
We had a situation where we had daughters fighting over to become guardian for their mother, of course, because she had lots of money. So say you do that, and the one daughter gets the guardianship, and then as she's into the guardianship, she gets midway through it or a couple of years into it and decides, I don't want to do this anymore. How do you get out of being a guardian?
Yeah, it's an extremely difficult job, and especially if there's complex family dynamics. The statute has a preference on appointing a family member to be a guardian, but the statute often affords the court to appoint a professional guardian to be appointed and to manage the life and the finances and the medical decisions of that person that can't make those decisions themselves. So I liked what Candy said. Giving yourself that ability to seek help and to get those caregivers and those people in there.
Because that's a giant responsibility. It's got to be burdening. And especially if you're making decisions that you've got 90% of your family that's not agreeing with the decisions that you're making. That's when you want to back out and say, I don't want to do this.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think communicating is a key. I know putting aside those sandbox disputes that you've had with your siblings over the years, and really having a heart to heart to see what's best for your mutual loved one, and that's not what we're seeing in guardianship. We're seeing that contentiousness between relatives out of state and the relative here, or everybody out of state. And then the court really has no choice but to appoint a third party who, by definition, almost becomes adverse to everyone, because they really have the person's best interest at heart, and they're going to make decisions not what the sister wants, not what the brother wants, but really what's in the best interest of their client, the person under guardianship.
How does it get to that point, or how does the court get involved? Like, who is the person that kind of raises their hand and says, okay, we need some help here, or something needs to be done?
Yeah, it has to fester to some point, I'm sure, where it says, okay.
Is it like a home health care company that may be in the house and sees what's going on?
And we've done that too.
How do you guys normally get notified that someone needs a court-appointed, legal guardian that maybe isn't family?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the vast majority of the petitions that I see being filed are from either family members themselves seeking guardianship over their loved one, or you'll have an outside agency, a state agency stepping in, such as the Department of Children and Families. Along with Florida leading the country in aging issues, we lead the country in elder exploitation. So our adult protective services are very busy investigating allegations of exploitation. And if there is someone that is in close proximity, maybe even a caregiver that's financially exploiting that person, the court has no choice but to appoint, someone independent, someone, a third party, a professional, to come in and to be the guardian. The court's not going to appoint a family member who's financially exploiting their loved ones.
What do you see more of? What is the thing that you see most? And maybe across the board it's all different things, but is there something that you see that seems to be more critical for the area that we live in?
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of wealth in Palm
True.
Beach County.
Right.
I have several cases in the hundreds of millions of dollars.
Wow.
So, as the time that someone is experiencing some cognitive decline, those first red flags, is almost too late to put into advanced directives,
Right.
to seek an elder law attorney, and to make sure that your affairs are in order. If the person is experiencing cognitive decline, any action thereafter could be construed as elder exploitation, undue influence. So I can't, after you have that heart-to-heart conversation with all your siblings and the elder person, tell the elder person to make that appointment with the elder law attorney, and to make sure that they get their affairs in order. But
We've talked about that so many times.
Oh, yeah.
The living will, that your family knowing, what your wishes are. We've talked about that all the time, and I'm going to say it again. Don't get it off the internet. Call a
Right.
professional.
absolutely.
Call a professional.
I get calls all the time. Mom or dad in their 80s are experiencing some type of episode, some type of breakdown. They're in the hospital. What do I do now? What do I do? And sometimes they say, hey, I'm going to get this lawyer in there to make them sign a durable power of attorney. And the first thing I said was, anybody going to object to that? Is there any family?
Right.
And if the question is yes, then it's, pump the
Right.
brakes, hold on.
Right.
You need to get legal advice. So I can't give legal advice in my capacity with the clerk's office, but
You can encourage them
I
to
can
speak to
encourage
somebody,
you to
right.
go
Right.
to your elder law attorney.
And I'm a notary, so there was a couple of times where we had with our clients that they're in the hospital room with the dad, and they want me to come to the hospital and notarize paperwork that says that they now are the healthcare surrogate and power of attorney. Absolutely not.
No.
It was like, could you come? It's 11 o'clock at night. We just have to get these papers signed. Okay, well, I smelled giant fish on that one.
Right.
So absolutely not. We don't do that. So if you have a situation that is an emergency, Anthony, how quickly can you get a guardian in place to start making decisions for that family?
Yeah, well, anyone can file a petition alleging that anyone else is incapacitated. You should have some personal knowledge that the person is incapacitated and is requiring a guardian, but you can file one, with your local clerk of court, who's the custodian of records for the court, and just based on your location, the court's going to schedule a hearing to take the next steps.
So you'd have to get in touch with the local clerk of courts in order to file a guardianship petition.
Right.
And then if they needed you because now they smell a rat and they know something bad is going to happen or something bad's going on, how would they get in touch with you or with what you?
So my local role in monitoring the roughly 3,200 cases in Palm Beach County.
Wow.
I don't normally get involved until post adjudication. So the court has already sent in an examining committee, a panel of 3 persons to report back to the court whether the person is incapacitated or not, and what daily life activities they need assistance with, and what rights they should retain. It's a recommendation to the court. The court has already appointed an attorney to represent what the statute calls an alleged incapacitated person. So all that's been done. A trial may have occurred, and the court has made an adjudication. They've made a decision, either yes, that person's incapacitated, or no. So that's the point where the clerk, by statute, monitors the guardianship proceedings, and we do that through the guardians file reports. They file initial plans and annual plans, kind of outlining what the residency setting, the medical needs, social needs of the person that's now under the guardianship. And then on the financial side, a guardian files an inventory and an annual accounting every year thereafter. So the guardian has to account for every penny of assets that are placed.
Which is
under the
probably why
guardianship.
some don't want to be a guardian anymore. And so we're going to break to a commercial, but we've got a lot more that we want to talk about both with Candy and with Anthony.
So join us after the
Yep.
commercial break. Thank you.
Welcome to Allegro Boynton Beach, the epitome of luxury senior living. Discover a lifestyle free from maintenance worries, or experience gentle support tailored to your daily needs. Choose from our exclusive offerings of independent living, assisted living, and memory care, each designed to provide a personalized experience of utmost comfort and care. Indulge in a maintenance-free retirement or embrace the support you deserve. Surrounded by the finest amenities and compassionate staff. At Allegro Boynton Beach, luxury meets a vibrant community where every moment is filled with joy, purpose, and peace of mind. Experience luxury senior living at its finest. Contact us today to schedule your visit and discover the unmatched lifestyle awaiting you at Allegro Boynton Beach.
About 60 million baby boomers refuse to leave a financial burden on their loved ones, but 70% of them have unsuitable life insurance or are unaware that it may expire. With final expenses significantly rising, don't leave your family unprotected. If you have an old policy or purchased guaranteed coverage, don't take any risks. Gain peace of mind with a policy review. Mention Senior Strategies and it's free. Call Pivotal Life today at 561-412-5500. That's 561-412-5500, because family and legacy are worth protecting.
You love your mom and dad, and they've always been there for you, always taken care of you. But now they could use a hand, and sometimes more help than you can provide. Thankfully, there's Senior Helpers, experts in Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's care. We can help you transition from a hospital stay to home, or just help your loved one with assistance with their everyday needs. Visit seniorhelpers.com to learn more. Discover why Senior Helpers is
Are you
senior
considering
care
selling your
only-
home? Are you considering downsizing? Are you considering a transition to an independent or assisted living community? Are you considering moving to be closer to your family? Do you need a home more conducive to aging in place? If so, you want to talk to Shane Silver, co-host of Senior Strategies and Senior Real Estate Specialist. Shane and her real estate team are extremely knowledgeable and experienced when it comes to helping seniors and their families make life's important transitions. Shane will guide you
Welcome
every
back.
step of the way, making the transition as stress-free as possible. To schedule a no-obligation consultation, call 561-735-3030.
Welcome back to Senior Strategies with Amy and Shane. Coming up next are more tools and resources you will need to make your journey of caregiving a little easier. For more information or to be a guest on the show, please contact us at 561-800-6654. And now, on with the show.
Welcome back. We've had some great guests. We're so happy to have Anthony and Candy, and we're thrilled to have just a few more minutes just so that we can talk to both of them. And we love having guests that kind of work side by side with each other. And so, right now we love to take some time just to talk with both of you again, and maybe relationships or situations that maybe you have had, Candy, where you've had to get a guardianship involved, or maybe a story that you know of, Anthony, where you've had to get a call from another company saying that something fishy is going on. So I don't know how often you've had the opportunity to do that, Candy. Have you had any times where you've dealt with
Guardians?
where you've had to place somebody and then you realize family's not working out?
Right. Not a lot, luckily. I'm happy to report.
Good.
But I have had a couple situations where, they didn't have the paperwork in order. They didn't have power of attorney. Did
Right.
not have healthcare surrogate.
Right.
Mom or dad doesn't want to move, and they're really not safe at home. So
I find we have it. In fact, I just talked to a gentleman last week, and he doesn't trust his children. He trusts nobody in his family. And he has a girlfriend, a lifetime partner. And he said, to be honest with you, Amy, I don't even know if I trust that she will make the decisions that I want. So again, I encouraged him to go to an elder law attorney, but he said, what if I make somebody that's power of attorney and healthcare surrogate that is still not going to go by the wishes that I have? I said, well, then you're going to look into having to get a guardian in place.
Right. And even that guardian might not make the decisions that he wants
Right.
to make.
So
that's tough.
There's decisions you can
That's
make
tough.
on the ground. There's decisions that can be made once you're underground,
Right.
between a living will, and you can put that all together. But it was just kind of sad to think that, he said his children were very religious and had very religious beliefs about certain things that he wanted to do with his life that they didn't agree with. So he said, I said, then you have to find a
Then you
neutral
have to find
party
someone.
to
Yeah.
do that.
I do want to bring up one thing because we were talking to Anthony during the break. I often, as a senior real estate specialist, will work with guardians when they need to sell the ward's property. And I want to tell you that there's, a lot of horror stories out there when it comes to guardians, and I have worked with some amazing, amazing guardians who, we talk about people that work with seniors have the hugest heart, that truly, truly have, their client's best interest at heart. And Anthony shared some really interesting statistics with us during the break about how many cases he kind of looks into and how many have really been
Horrible.
bad. And there's a lot of good ones out there. I want to say that. I want to put a good word out there for guardians.
And what were those? Just
Yeah,
say that again.
Unfortunately, we don't quantify all the good decisions that are
Right.
being made
Right.
by guardians, but we do quantify the complaints that are filed. So since roughly 2017, there's been like 2,600 complaints filed that allege that the conduct of a guardian is not within statute or standard of practice. And about 13% of those allegations are true. So we'd go in, we do a professional investigation using our Inspector General standards, and we come to a conclusion that the allegation is false, that's not true.
And how often?
And that's good because that means that I'm not good at math, but it means about 97% are false and are doing what they should do, right? And are doing the good things.
Right.
Right.
And how often, if you are a guardian, how often do you get
checked
checked up, audited? Yeah, because so if somebody's saying, "Oh, I'll be my mom's guardian, I can do that," how often do they have to really be checked out to make sure they're doing the right thing?
Yeah, there's approximately 550 professional guardians throughout the state of Florida.
Wow.
So I mean, I think we've issued over 500 reports. So it's not a matter if you're going to be investigated; it's just a matter of when. But it's part of the environment. It's part of the culture now.
And should
that
be.
There's going to be a local auditing and investigation. There's going to be a state investigation. So it's just part of the checks and balances.
And it should be. It should be. Even
It
working
should be.
with senior helpers as a home health agency, we know at any given time we can be audited, we can have ACA come in and check things, and that's how it should be. You should work at all times knowing that your responsibility is to do what's right for that person, to do what's right for our seniors.
Guardianship is a last resort.
Yeah.
It's when there's not a durable power of attorney.
Right.
It's when there's not another advanced directive in place.
Right.
But the benefit of guardianship, if there is a benefit, I would prefer there being zero guardianships.
Right.
But if there is a benefit, there is some court involvement, some oversight.
Absolutely.
The clerk of the circuit court for that county has a duty to audit, to investigate. The state has a regulatory role. They have the ability to investigate. So there's some structure, there's some checks and balances. Other legal tools may not have those checks and balances in place. So.
Tell us once again, Anthony, how someone gets in touch with your office.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I provided the number for our
Yep.
Guardianship Integrity Assurance Hotline, which is area code 561-355-3728.
Wonderful.
We're so happy to have
Wonderful.
both of you. I
Candy-
think
well,
you've
Candy,
just
one
shared
more
so
time.
much. To Candy, what's your?
One more time, how someone reaches you?
My phone number is 954-540-2595, and that's Oasis Senior Advisors.
Thank you both so
And
much for being with us
yes, and we're
today.
just so happy. It's close to the end of the year. We've got one more show till we hit 2024, and we just want to announce that we do have some fun and exciting news to share. We're going to have a totally different format come 2024. So keep your eyes open on our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and we'll be giving you all the updates for that. But thank you. We'll see you on our next
Thank you for joining
show.
us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us today on Senior Strategies. We hope that you found the tools and the strategies that we offered you beneficial for your journey as a caregiver. We want you to leave today feeling empowered and supported.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube for upcoming shows and events. For more information, to schedule a consultation, or to join a support group, please contact us at 561-800-6654.
And remember the strategies
And tools you can use
to make your journey easier.